Fans still filing their way into the Delta Center here in Salt Lake City. And the stage is set for Game 5 between the Sonics and the Jazz. And right now, let's send it over to the public address announcer, Dan Roberts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to game number 5 of the Western Conference playoffs in the Delta Center. Tonight, the Jazz are hosting the Seattle Sonics. Introducing the starting lineup for the Seattle Sonics. Starting at forward, wearing number 42 at 6'11" from Hartford, Ben Baker. At forward, wearing number 7 at 6'10" from Leaf Ellis High School, Rashard Lewis. The starting center, wearing number 54 at 6'10" from Clemson, Horace Grant. On the guard line, number 20 at 6'4" from Oregon State, Gary Payton. And a guard, wearing number 31 at 6'6" from Oregon State, Brent Berry. The Sonics are coached by Paul Westphal.
So will the Graybeards of the NBA, the Utah Jazz, survive one more game and get still another shot at getting that brass ring? We'll find out shortly, and we'll be back here at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City after these messages. Back at the Delta Center, here's a look at tonight's Gatorade starting lineups, introduced moments ago. And the officials working this Game 5, Hugh Evans, Hugh Hollins, and Don Baden. Only 5 teams have rallied back from a 2-0 deficit in a best-of-5 to win a first-round matchup. The last time, Denver knocking off the Sonics back in '94.
Well, Paul Westphal is hoping that Barry, Baker, and Lewis can make some points here early, and in that way open up the inside game as well as the perimeter game.
And Baker just does that with 18 points in his last outing, giving the Sonics the lead.
Big thing for Utah. They've got to cut down on the turnovers and get back to shooting at high percentage.
19 turnovers resulting in 22 points for the Sonics in game number 4. Uncharacteristic for a team that really lost its composure as Baker picks up the personal foul and sends Brian Russell to the line. Right now, let's send it out to Reggie Theus.
Thanks, Dick. As you know, there was a lot of dead balls and a lot of emotion at the end of Game 4. Now, Karl Malone and Gary Payton both talking stuff at the end of the game. I asked them both, is there going to be any carryover between Game 4 and Game 5? Gary Payton said, you know, I want to carry over because I play my best basketball when I'm on goal like that. He says, I won't start the game talking stuff, but if Karl goes there, I'm going to be there waiting on him. Karl said, hell yeah, Reggie, is going to be carryover because you know what Game 5 is all about. I have to play big. Don't look for me to have any assists tonight, and if you can't get up for this game, you're just not breathing. Guys?
And isn't that a fact? as Baker throws up the air ball, and the Jazz come down with it.
I thought Baker was hit right on the elbow that time on release.
Stockton with a layup. John Stockton.
Well, they need that. They need a big game from Hornacek and Stockton. High percentage shooters in the league for guards, 1 and 2. Stockton 1, Hornacek 2. They've done it for a number of years.
Stockton very nearly stealing it away from Payton, and Payton going baseline, and here come the Jazz. Seattle getting back defensively. Hornacek driving around Rashard Lewis.
Big thing for Seattle. You've got to cut down the easy baskets on the break of Utah. In this building, they play better. They're always looking out in the transition game.
And traveling called against Vin Baker. Turns it over to the Utah Jazz. For the 5th time in 6 years, playing a deciding game in the first round. They are 5-3 here at the Delta Center, but they have won 3 in a row in Game 5s here.
Well, Jerry Sloan has been very impressed with the Seattle defense in Games 3 and 4. He said their trapping has been excellent. Now, in the early going, Dick, we have not seen a trap.
Brian Russell pulling up against Lewis, and the rebound taken down by Barry. Jazz leading 4-2.
With Payton and Barry, you have 2 rebounding guards. Gary Payton averaged 7 a game this year, and Barry 5.
Neither team shooting well in the early going as Payton misses from the perimeter. Stockton is guarded by Payton, and Hornacek open out on the screen, and he misses what is normally a gimme for him.
Yeah, we've had some wide open shots. Naturally, everybody's a little uptight. We realize the importance of this game. We're dealing with millions of dollars for a franchise if you get to the next round.
Payton underneath, off the glass. So Gary Payton, who had his first career playoff triple-double with impressive numbers, as UB showed you, ties the game.
Anytime that he shoots with Stockton on him, he always has an opportunity to get a second shot attempt off the offensive board.
And the Jazz turn it over as Stockton's pass goes under Hornacek's leg. So the Jazz in a 4-4 game, and the turnovers really did them in Game 4.
In Games 3 and 4, Seattle was able to win by double-figure points by making those 7 threes, the extra points. Now remember, Barry is a high percentage shooter in three-point land.
Stockton playing up on Payton.
Taking too long.
And Payton coming in on the pick and roll, loses the ball. Plenty of time now, and a foul is called with 5 on the shot clock. And so Hornacek picking up his foul.
Both teams are having difficulty early, Dick, getting into a flow. You know, they're getting in sets, they're calling plays, but for some reason, the ball is stuck in mud. You know, we're not seeing any type of fluid motion here.
Horace Grant playing outside, bringing Malone with him. Barry firing a 3. Knocked away by Baker out of bounds, and it'll be Utah's ball.
You've got to get up and honor Barry because he's going to attempt at least 3 or 4 a game, and he's shooting 50% in threes in this series.
3 different lineups used in this series by Coach Paul Westphal, but he's used the same one for the 3rd straight game. Here is Stockton picked up by the bigger Grant, and Malone with his first shot, practically an air ball, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by the Jazz.
Well, that time they forced Stockton to the baseline, Dick. They ran the trap at him. He was able to hit Karl Malone. Now, Karl Malone shoots an air ball, but we realize that Seattle, they're quick on their traps, and they're long. They are a very tall team.
And tempo will play a big role in this game. The up-tempo Sonics against the methodical Jazz. Payton with a turnaround from the baseline, hits his 2nd in a row, and the Sonics take the lead.
All night, Dick. That's there all night. He's taller than Stockton, and when he turns to the baseline, he's going away from the double team.
And the looping pass, and Stockton throws it away for the 2nd time in this first quarter.
I'm Seattle. I'm happy here. I mean, Utah's throwing the ball around. They're allowing us to run our stuff. We're getting nice percentage shots at the basket. So let's hope now that our defense can tighten up and hold them to 1 shot for 48 minutes.
Ball slapped away by Colonies. The perimeter shot by Payton misses. Jazz scoreless in the last 3.5 minutes. It matters only 1 of 5 from the field. A slow start for them. Hornacek off the glass. Jim Hornacek, who if the Jazz lose, could very well and will be playing in his last game of a distinguished 14-year career.
That's a very difficult shot. He came on that curl, and he avoided 2 shot blockers.
Baker driving in, no basket, and the foul on Ben Baker before the shot.
I like what Paul Westphal's doing. He's going at Ben Baker. He's trying to resurrect the Baker that we knew that made the All-NBA team twice in 97 and 98. And they're going right at him and saying, you know what, Polynese, you cannot guard Ben Baker. We're going to get him off guard.
Osterdag has played more minutes at center than Polynese has in this series. As Baker from the outside misses. Horace Graham keeps it alive. And going for 3 from the corner is Payton. And Malone getting the rebound. Tied at 6, despite the fact that the Jazz have only made 2 baskets. And Stockton trying to force the action. And the follow-up by Malone misses. And a foul called against the Sonics. And if it's on Ben Baker, it'll be his 2nd personal foul. And it is 2 on Baker as we take a timeout.
Now Seattle has the ball. Gary Payton is in this position right here. Now you're going to see they have 3 guys spotted up away. That keeps the defense honest. Now anytime that Payton takes Stockton down and then turns to the baseline, the only guy that's going to be able to help in this situation early will be the man right here. Now see, this is there. They can run this anytime they want. And then if Utah begins to double team it, then we're going to see the ball rotation and the 3-point shot attempts.
There's Gary Payton, and you knew that the Jazz took notice when Payton took and made a 3-point basket at the buzzer the other night. But in a game like this, after all that happened that Reggie talked about, teams stick to basketball. It's game 5. You don't have time for the extracurriculars.
Now, come on, we all know it's game 5. The prestige is getting into the 2nd round. We all know how much is at stake for both clubs. You do not want to be a boat in a series by costing your teams a couple of critical points on a flagrant foul or a technical foul and then possibly getting thrown out of the game. And then if your ball club goes down, you'll have something really difficult to live with over the summer months.
See, Karl Malone, the last 3 games have not gone to the line much at all after going 14 times and making 13 in game 1. Greg Foster has replaced Ben Baker, who has 2 fouls in the Sonic lineup.
Yeah, and this is a major drop-off because you lose your post-up guy. Foster is basically a spot-up, just like that.
Misses a shot, but Grant with another offensive rebound, and Stockton can't save it. Foster, of course, who played with the Utah Jazz and knows a lot about what they're all about.
Well, it'll be interesting to see right now if Seattle goes to a slashing type of an offense because they do not have the inside presence.
And goaltending, credit Brett Barry with the basket.
Well, I like that because that's what we call slashing basketball. You're getting to the painted area, you're driving by, you're forcing the defense to come down and break. Now, right there, that was close. That was really close because that ball still, in my opinion, was not on the way down.
Holden Polynese goaltending on the play. Now Polynese on the offensive end gets the basket. Polynese has not scored more than 4 points in any one of the games so far, as Ostertag has handled most of the center position. And the Jazz leading by 1.
Well, there's another clear out for Barry.
Barry pulls up, front rim, and the rebound by Polynese. And the foul is Stockton is fouled by Barry. Holden Polynese giving the Jazz some good aggressive work inside early on in this game.
The reason why we brought out the point of Seattle getting 13 offensive rebounds a game. See, that's big because the Utah Jazz are 2nd in the league in defensive rebounding. They usually do a terrific job. In this series, Seattle working hard. They're making things happening for themselves.
Howard Isley checking into the game, replacing Jeff Hornacek. So Stockton and Isley, 2-point guards in the backcourt for the Jazz.
Well, that good trap that time sends Stockton baseline. He gave it up early. Shot clock going down.
And there is Ryan Russell for 3 from the corner. Ryan Russell coming off a career playoff high 26 points in the last game, and the Jazz up by 4.
Ryan Russell is usually spotted up in the opposite corner of the side
Foster driving past Polanese and a block by Malone. Karl Malone got a piece of it, and the crowd on its feet. Jazz leading by 4, and Polanese called for the offensive foul as he charged into Brent Barry.
That was an excellent defensive play by Brent Barry. Brent saw Polanese all the way. He saw eye contact with John Stockton, and then he just went right over and took it away. Keep an eye to the right of your screen here. You're going to see Barry comes right in, right there, takes it, anticipated that pass to Polanese.
And Polanese going out with his second foul, and Greg Ostertag replaces him. Ostertag has rebounded decently in this series. Under 5 minutes to go in the first. Jazz by 4.
So you pick up your dribble, you're too far away to do damage.
Grant leaving Rashard Lewis open. And the second-year high school player misses the shot, but Payton has a new clock in the corner.
See, they're getting really fine looks at the basket.
Tipped away by Isley out of bounds. And 16 seconds on the shot clock for Seattle.
It's just a matter of Seattle relaxing a little bit. The shots are there. They're operating their offense to get those shots. Just take your time.
Sonics beat the Jazz once this year, back on February 1st, here at the Delta Center. 8 on the shot clock. Stockton guarding Payton with the turnaround. And here's Stockton. It's a 2-on-2 situation, but Russell leading the lane. You turn it over against the Jazz, and he'll get easy baskets. And they've hit pretty well from the field anyway.
Yeah, that's the old guy, the third guy on the break. Ryan Russell, beautiful. And then a great selection to make the pass.
Barry is fouled going to the hoop and trying to end what has been a 10-2 run by the Utah Jazz.
Now, at the opposite end of the floor, we're going to run a replay for you. Gary Payton thought that he was fouled. Now, when Stockton takes this, keep a look. You can see Russell running. See, there's a player up ahead who takes the defense out. Now Russell just finishes and splits the seam of the defense.
Isley committing the foul, and Barry on the free throw line. Outstanding free throw shooter. Ruben Patterson, who started a good deal of this season, but an energized sixth man coming into the ball game for the Sonics.
Brent Barry had a sensational year this year. He shot 46 from the field, 41 in threes, and 81 on the line. Now that is high cotton shooting percentages.
And he fits in so well with Gary Payton as the backcourt mate for the Sonics. 4-point lead for the Jazz. Isley and Stockton along with Malone, Ostertag, and Russell for Utah. Isley having a big year. Russell for 3. Ostertag fighting for the offensive rebound and could not maintain control and loses it out of bounds, but he has been the top offensive rebounder as he is hurt as he limps up court.
Well, Dick, see, we all know that he's got a ton of talent. It's just that you have no idea when he's going to give it to you. Now, in this series, he's averaging 9 rebounds a game, and he's only playing a half a game. They need him. They need his shot blocking and rebounding.
Russell on Barry's miss. Sonics down by 4 under 3.5 to play in the first quarter of Game 5. The winner will move on and face the Portland Trail Blazers in the Western semifinals starting Sunday. Isley, air ball. Grant gets it out quickly to Payton. Payton to Foster, filling the lane, and Foster trying to flip it out. Good call. Throws it away.
Yeah, good call. Offensive foul. Russell anticipated that perfectly, exactly like Barry. Keep an eye to the left. You're going to see it right there. You can see it's very difficult to throw the ball to 7-foot guys on the break who are not accustomed to handling the basketball. We saw Polanese at one end, Foster at the other. They're not accustomed to putting it down on the floor and then evading a small guy who's going to take the charge.
Looked like Foster wanted to just get rid of it because he knew he was charging into the defender. 10 on the shot clock. Malone with a turnaround. Only the second attempt, but first field goal for Karl Malone and the Jazz by 6.
Now Karl's just staying within the offense. Everyone else is getting nice shot attempts. He will open up. He'll open up for him as we move along.
Here's Ruben Patterson. Rebound taken down by Russell. 3-on-3. Isley into the corner. Remember, Utah had a 26-18 lead in game number 4. And the layup by Malone. And he's got 5 and a timeout called by Paul Westphal.
That was a beautiful move by Karl Malone without the ball. soon as he saw Stockton put it on the floor, he maneuvered himself into a nice passing situation. See, this is Utah at their best in transition. The basketball is here. Karl Malone is here, and he's fronted by Patterson. Now watch Stockton come out here and get this pass. As soon as the ball hits Stockton, watch Malone push off and then create that passing lane. See, this is just smart basketball. He's got the man on the top side, and you know that Stockton will always give it up. He has 5 assists.
And Ben Baker coming back into the game despite 2 personal fouls. And here is Lewis out to Baker with 10 on the shot clock. Baker double-teamed over Ostertag hits. So Ben Baker now with 4 points. It's been a cold shooting Sonic team. They are only 2 of their last 12 and shooting barely 25%.
Yeah, see, with Baker in there, Dick, it gives him that inside presence. And also a guy that you have to pay attention to.
Russell missing the 3, and the Sonics trying to come back down. And here is Ruben Patterson. Offensive foul called against Patterson.
Patterson's got to be careful here now. But these referees are excellent. They've been in hundreds and hundreds of playoff games, and they are giving the charge tonight. They're rewarding the defense. Now just keep an eye to the left of your screen. See right there, he's there, okay, and he's outside of the restraining area, no question about it.
Jazz winning the first 2 games here at the Delta Center by a combined total of 25 points. So they won the first 2 games handily, and another turnover. Nothing that results in easy Sonic points, but this one has to do with execution.
Yeah, everything is on the baseline. It seems they're getting the screens. Utah, they're getting good solid screens on the baseline. The guys are open, but the passes are like 2 to 3 feet off.
Lewis driving against Isley, had a big size advantage, gets the offensive rebound and puts it through. 6 foot 10 inches out of Elite, Texas. He showed flashes of brilliance, but knows no fear in the playoffs.
You know, Paul Westphal very happy with Lewis. He's doing a terrific job. He's shooting a solid percentage, and he's scoring double figures.
8 on the clock. Grant bodying Malone with the fall away, and the traveling called against Karl Malone.
Karl Malone's upset. He thought he got bumped, but Hugh Hollins was right on that. We had a good look at that because Hugh Hollins was between us and the play, and you could see the little hop.
Malone, who scored a career-high playoff 50 points in Game 1. It looked like the Jazz were going to breeze past the Sonics.
See, this is a good matchup right here. You got to take advantage of that, and Lewis has got to make that shot. See, Isley has given Lewis 8 inches. He can shoot up over the top of him at will, and by bringing Baker back, they can't fool around. If you're going to play Isley and Stockton together, somebody must play Lewis.
41.6 seconds remain here in the first quarter. Payton trying to find an open space, and here is Ben Baker hitting from outside. So Baker now with 6 points, leading the Sonics, who trailed now by only 2.
Smart move by Paul Westphal.
Stockton hitting the 3. John Stockton comes back for 3, and you're right. Paul Westphal deciding to bring Baker down with his team trailing by 8 despite the 2 personals.
Everyone talks about Stockton's assist to that, and sometimes shooting 52% for his career goes unnoticed. For a guard in this league to shoot 52% is unheard of. He continually, every year, leads the guards. This year at 50%, you just love it because we know he could force a lot of shots, but he's such a team player. The assists back him up, but we also know that under pressure, he can score.
Coming up next on TNT, Game 5, the Kings and the Lakers. What a shock that the Lakers extended to a 5th game against the 8th seed, followed by Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Karl Malone picked up the personal foul, sending Rashard Lewis to the free throw line. Armin Gilliam has come into the game for the Utah Jazz, and Brent Barry back in for the Sonics as Malone, sitting for the first time, scored 5.
As soon as Paul saw that Isley was guarding Lewis, he immediately ran him into that left low box, and it's cost him 4 points. Smart move by Paul Westphal.
3-point lead for the Jazz, and Utah playing for the final shot of this first quarter.
They love to bring the high screen and roll right here.
And setting the screen is Gilliam, and there is Stockton going out to wide open Brian Russell, who hits with 2.7 seconds to go. Gary Payton. And that'll do it for the first quarter. And the Utah Jazz, despite the presence of Gary Payton, who scored 4 points, Baker had 6, but Brian Russell has 9. And John Stockton having a brilliant first quarter with 6 assists. And after one, the Jazz lead the Sonics 23-18. Back in Salt Lake City, start the second quarter with the Jazz leading by 5, 23-18. Story of this series began with Karl Malone's career playoff high 50 points. The Jazz sizzling in game 2, but the Sonics going to the line in game 3. And of course the wild game number 4, 6 technicals, actually 7 when you include an illegal defense. The ejections by Coach Jerry Sloan and Karl Malone. And you talked about the Sonics 3-point shooting, 0 for 5 so far in this one.
And we know, Dick, that's a major issue here. Plus they're only shooting 29%. Gary Payton struggling right now, 2 for 8. Rashard Lewis 1 for 4. They got to take their time, get in the swing.
Isley over Lewis. Armin Gilliam with the offensive rebound. Big pickup for the Jazz in January. Lewis guarding Isley. And illegal defense called against the Sonics.
Right now, see, Baker is questioning a call by Hugh Hollins because he's saying that Ostertag is on his side of the basket, and he can be down in that painted area. And right now, you know, he's talking to Hugh Hollins about it.
Jazz had a lead as high as 8 points in the first quarter. Here's Gilliam, cut by Orlando, and misses the left-handed hook shot, and the rebound taken down by Barry, and Barry loses it. There was no whistle, and here is Gilliam hitting the jumper, and Barry is perplexed.
Yeah, bad decision by Barry. You never throw the ball back out underneath your defensive basket because there were no players there to start the break. Turns into a turnover and into.
Here's Payton posting up against Isley. Before it was Lewis. And Baker firing over Ostertag. It's the air ball, and here come the Jazz, and they can open up their biggest lead of the game here.
Now the Jazz double team Payton strong that time.
Isley charging to the basket. Didn't go around Gilliam, who's setting the screen, and Isley gives the Jazz a 9-point lead.
You cannot anticipate where the offensive player is going on a screen and roll. Now all teams have a design. Are they going to trap the screen and roll? Are you going to go under on the screen? Or are you going to send it to the baseline? There are a number of ways of doing this. But what happens is Isley reads it correctly. He catches Lewis leaning and then blows to the hole. He's had a great season this year, Dick.
Sounds like fun. And right now the Utah Jazz are having all the fun, but when you consider, Hubie, that they're shooting 55%, the Sonics 28%, 9 points is not that bad a deficit.
No, and they're getting good looks. They're getting wide open threes, and they know that they have certain advantages on post-up. They just have to take their time on the shots.
Here's Payton, and you saw the double team coming down, and Lewis's pass deflected out of bounds by Isley, and the Sonics with 13 on the shot clock.
Now this unit that's in there right now, a little taller with Ostertag in there, they've been rotating and doing a nice job on the traps.
Malone has been on the bench the last couple of minutes and driving in, and the foul. So a chance for the Sonics to go to the line. Karl Malone on the bench with 5 points and 1 personal foul as Brian Russell chalks up his first.
Well, Ruben Patterson is a handful down on the post or any time off the dribble. During the course of the year, he averaged double figures and shot over 55%, 4th best in the league. Now, he was an outstanding addition to this club. When you think a year ago, he was either the 11th or 12th man with the Los Angeles Lakers, and to step in and get the amount of points and percentages and starts, not bad.
Not bad at all. He had 13 points in game 3. That was his best scoring output of the series thus far. Stolen by Ruben Patterson, and Patterson slams it through. Some carelessness on the part of Howard Isley.
That's the first time they've come down the length of the floor tonight. And you can see Patterson is so quick at that small forward position. He just
another turnover.
Steal.
They got another turnover, and there is Lewis going strong to the basket, but a block. And it was Gilliam who got the block for the Jazz. But Utah has to be unsettled with 2 straight turnovers in the backcourt. They're up by 5. Here's Ostertag, and Hornacek back in the game with a runner hitting. So despite 7 turnovers by the Jazz, they're up by 7. And here is Lewis. And that's the athleticism that the Sonics bring to the table.
See, you cannot relax when you go for a shot and score. At one end, Patterson gambled on Hornacek. He blew by him. But then, inbound quickly and look up the floor. It's nice to see Seattle trying to pick up the tempo here.
And another turnover. That's 3 in the last minute. And Gary Payton steadies himself. Lewis firing a 3. He's got it.
Yes.
And Rashard Lewis now with 9 points in the game and spearheading a Seattle rally. And the Jazz turning it over 9 times already. And we're not even halfway through the second quarter.
I see, you like this up-tempo ball. This is right down Seattle's lane. They love the open floor.
10 on the shot clock, and the Sonics defensive alertness quieting the crowd somewhat. And there is Russell with a touch pass for Hornacek, who misses the 3, and Ostertag coming down with the offensive rebound. And a timeout was called right before the traveling by Ostertag. A timeout, and it'll be a 20 called by the Jazz.
Well, Ostertag is making his presence felt, Nick. He has been on the offensive boards. He's also had some critical shot blocks and then a few intimidations in the short period of time that he's been on the floor. Now, Lewis is stepping it up for Seattle. When they went to that full court press, he was in the play on 3 consecutive plays. So it's nice to see, because you want to take advantage of this quickness and Reuben Patterson, because both of them are sprinters on the break.
Coming up next on TNT, Game 5, the 5th and deciding game from the Staples Center between the Kings and the Lakers. And the second round coverage will begin Monday on TBS with Game 2 of what'll be another interesting matchup, 76ers and Pacers at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Sonics have outscored the Jazz 9-2 in a minute and a half, and trailing by only 2 points, and coming back with a flurry. Brian Russell driving in, missed the layup. Russell with 9 first-quarter points. And a foul called against Russell. He's picked up 2 here in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, they're coming with Paget right now. Isn't it interesting that anytime Utah kicks the ball out, the shot clock is going down, they can blow by Seattle off the dribble. Time and time again, they're getting down inside, but they've got to make the shots.
So Scott Paget, a rookie from Kentucky who scored 5 of Utah's 7 points. Remember, they only scored 7. A playoff career low in the second quarter of Game 4. And Karl Malone has come back in. He was on the bench for 4 minutes. And here's Lewis, a 2-point attempt. And 4 minutes gone by, the Jazz have it back. Payton is guarding Isley. Hornacek looking for Malone. It's tipped by Barry.
The group that's out on the floor defensively for Seattle, they're getting their hands on a lot of balls, Nick. They're not conceding the passing lanes to post people. Now, they're not fronting the post.
Hornacek misses a runner, gets the loose ball in the lane, and tries to score over Lewis and gets the ball back. Hornacek, the right man in the right place. And on the pick and roll, Karl Malone with his 7th point.
Lewis and Patterson have got to understand that Baker cannot get every rebound. Now, we blew smoke on Barry and Payton early that they can rebound, but we've got to see that.
There you see Baker with the lay-in, and Baker now with 8 points. Playing with 2 personal fouls. Westphal brought him back in the first quarter. And there is Paget looking in, and a holding foul underneath called on Seattle.
Now, that's on Baker. That would be his 3rd.
And it is 3 on Baker.
Oh, you got to get him out of here right now. You got 7 minutes, Paul. And he comes there. Well, they're coming with Grant right now.
So a tough third foul on Ben Baker.
And I just keep an eye on Baker. See, he grabs onto him right here. See, he wraps his arm around him. That's an automatic. Now, I'm surprised right now. Paul Westphal has gotten major minutes out of Baker. Now he picked up his third. You got 7 to go here in the second quarter.
And Baker staying in the game right now. Horace Grant has come in, but Baker remains in there. Patrick to Gilliam. Looked like Gilliam wasn't ready for that pass, but scores on the jumper.
Well, Gilliam can score. And look at this.
Here is Barry leading Baker, and Baker is fouled. So interesting that Westphal has kept Baker in, brought him back with 2, kept him in with 3 personal fouls.
I'm impressed tonight with Seattle. Utah is scoring, and Seattle is getting the ball up this right side of the floor, Dick, with one pass. The pass is going 40 feet, and then they are running a guy down the middle of the floor, and they're getting that 2-on-1. Now, every time that Utah scores, Barry jumps out of bounds. Payton gets the first pass here. Now, keep an eye on Patterson going. He's going to get this pass over half court. Now, the first score, Lewis ran the lane there. On the second one, where there's the foul, Baker comes right down the middle and gets fouled there. Now, just keep an eye how quick they're getting down the floor in this now. You see, they're catching Utah slow in their transition defense. You cannot fall asleep and assume that Seattle is going to walk the ball up the court.
Last foul committed by Hornacek, sending Baker to the line. Baker playing with 3 personal fouls. The Jazz getting up early by 9 points here in this quarter, but Ruben Patterson, a spark off the bench, and Rashard Lewis spearheaded an 11-6 rally, and it was the defense that sparked the quick as a wink offense down court, as Hubie mentioned. And thus, the lead now 3 points, as Baker can only make 1 out of 2. Stockton back in there, so it's Stockton, Hornacek, Paget, Malone, and Gilliam for the Jazz. Here is Stockton, and they're going to call the offensive foul. And that'll be against Armin Gilliam on an illegal screen.
Yeah, that was a beautiful screen, and Stockton faded to the corner. And it's too bad that it was called, but he stepped out and picked off Gary Payton, the defender. And that was a beautiful read by Stockton. He was wide open.
And you'd have to say right now that the Sonics have to like the situation they're in, because they have been outshot, trailing by only 3 on the road midway through the second quarter. The last foul was on Gilliam.
Well, Dick, the other side of that is, and you're absolutely right, is that they're getting high percentage shots. It isn't like they're struggling to get a good shot attempt. So they've had a ton of open jumpers.
They're not getting smothered by the Utah defense, not at all. Barry with an air ball, but Lewis keeps it alive. Payton steps back on the fake and hits the 3. What a great maneuver as he fakes Stockton, step back, and hits his first 3 of the game.
Great offensive rebound by Lewis. The youngster at 20 years of age is doing everything at both ends and running the lanes. Nice to watch.
We're tied at 33, and Karl Malone unties it with his 9th point of the game. You know, Rashard Lewis has incredible court awareness for age 20.
Absolutely. Now, Grant cannot flop here. You're not going to get a call in this building when the guy you're flopping on is Karl Malone.
Flopper and the floppy. Who do you want to go with? Baker with a turnaround, and it was Gilliam on the defensive end, keeping a body on him. 2-point lead for the Jazz. Gilliam seeing a lot of action here in this second quarter. Paget gives up the dribble against Barry. Hornacek for 3. Rebound, Baker.
Now, Paget's in there because he can stretch the defense. He's a 3-point shooter, but he's not looking for the shot.
Barry had it knocked away. Payton's going to fire another 3 and hit. Gary Payton now with 10 points in the game, and the Sonics have taken a 36-35 lead.
Gary Payton is an opportunist. It doesn't matter how many shots he's missed. Hey, I'm open. I'm going to shoot it, because he does shoot a solid 3-point percentage.
Coming off a 35-point triple-double in Game 4. Malone on the turnaround, and Paget fighting for the loose ball, and it's last touched by the Jazz.
Now, Karl Malone has had very few good looks at the basket. Horace Grant is right up on top of him, challenging, and he has forced him into some pretty severe percentage shots. You know, they've really been bad. to the point that I've never seen Malone shoot that many that short.
Been a quiet game thus far for Karl Malone. And Payton with the air ball. Ruben Patterson, who has just come back into the game, fouled underneath. We have had 4 air balls that have resulted in ultimate points in this game.
Absolutely. And you like Patterson and Lewis. Patterson and Lewis are not assuming that any shot is going in.
Energy.
That's right. And they are trailing and getting these balls short and making things happen.
Tomorrow night on TNT, a Saturday night classic.
In a town where things aren't quite right, it takes a real expert to track down what's gone wrong. Fargo, tomorrow night at 8 on TNT.
Free throws by Patterson, and it's 38-35 Seattle. Howard Isley back in for Seattle, along with Olden Polynice at center. Stockton in the backcourt with Isley. And they go low to Malone. Illegal defense, and this will be a technical free throw coming up. That's the second call against Paul Westphal's Sonics.
Ruben Patterson's man was up above the three-point line, so you have got to be up above the foul line. And you cannot be in the lane where he was. That was just a bad formation for Seattle.
Game 5 of this first round of action between the Sonics and the Jazz. Utah winning the first 2 here at the Delta Center, and then Seattle coming back huge, winning the last 2 games. And the winner will move on to meet the Portland Trail Blazers in the Western Conference best-of-7 semifinals starting Sunday. Seattle coming back to lead by 3. Now it's 2 after Utah dominated early. Stockton coming off the screen by Malone.
That's their bread and butter. The man who's playing the screener, Karl Malone, cannot lay low like that. Stockton will open up every time.
Tied at 38. Here's Payton inside. Changes hands and can't convert.
Well, you got to get back here.
Stockton has Malone on the wing, and off balance. Malone gets the basket. How did he ever do it? Coming right back. Lewis hits the basket, and that's what the Sonics have done all night.
Yeah, you'll have to love it, because they are not wasting time. That ball goes through, they're getting it up, and they're getting a shot attempt within 4 to 5 seconds.
Lewis with 11 points leading the Sonics. Karl Malone has 11 to top the Jazz. Posting up against Horace Grant. 9 on the shot clock, and he gets it. So now Malone doing business inside.
Well, you knew that his shot attempts would open up. You knew that he and Stockton basically played within what you give them in that first quarter. Now, every possession, they are going to Malone on the baseline.
And Payton from the perimeter hitting, and this game really taking the shape of a 5th and deciding game.
Well, you know, the jitters are over. Everyone is into a nice flow now, and it's good to see that the main people are stepping up.
Good pass down to Malone, who lays it in. So Karl Malone now 7 of 9 from the field, and 15 points, 10 here in the second.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that. Anytime Karl goes down inside, he pins you on his back. He has you at his mercy.
Here is Horace Grant, and another air ball out of bounds. Utah ball, and they lead by 2.
Horace Grant must step up and make these shots. The same thing with Foster when Foster replaces Grant. The reason being is pretty soon they're not going to play you out there, and the defense is going to be 15 feet and down, and the double team will be there all night.
In the shadows of the Wasatch Mountains here in Salt Lake City, the Jazz leading 44-42. Karl Malone bringing them back here.
Now this is a slip the screen. Karl Malone is famous on that. And once he pinches you that deep, it's all over because of his upper body strength. Now this is a miraculous shot. How he got that one to go in. Friendly rim. Now see where he's catching it? His catch is in the paint. If he pins you that deep, he's going to just score up over the top of you. Now in this series, Karl Malone is scoring 32 points a game. He's shooting 60% from the floor and 87% on the line.
That's all.
That's all.
Malone and Stockton, by the way, have combined for the last 11 Utah points. So the Graybeards getting it done here with 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half. The Jazz leading the Sonics in game 5 by 2, and Malone now 8 of 10 from the field and 17 already in the game.
If you are going to trap John Stockton and use the man who set the screen, well then on the roll man going down the Karl Malone, you got to get there in a hurry.
And Payton, Stockton tried to tie him up, and he did. They're going to jump it up. Stockton got a hand on the ball on the drive by Payton, and we will have a jump ball.
Well, you either had to have a travel or a jump ball, because Gary Payton definitely took steps.
Now, Brian Russell tried to sneak in there to jump against Payton, but he wasn't involved in the play.
Just tap it back right there. You had the cup. You always tap back to the cup.
Payton with a fake on Stockton and hitting. He's done a good job faking Stockton out of the way, and Payton now with 14.
He's on a roll right now. Outstanding street shooter.
The Stars are on a roll. You pointed it out with Malone with 17, Payton with 14. And Stockton with 8 assists with under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Against Grant, Malone, and a foul called before the shot. And that should go against Horace Grant. Reggie Theus.
Hey, Dick, I got a little something from both sides. Paul Westphal was talking about, guys, John Stockton is killing us going around the picks. We have to jump out on him and double team on the pick and roll. That's what Yubi was talking about. Now, in the other huddle, Jerry Sloan said, guys, you're playing hard, but you're not thinking. We can't survive. If you're going to turn the ball over 10 times, 4 in this quarter, we'll be in a dogfight the whole game, guys.
And that's what cost them game number 4, the 19 turnovers resulting in 22 Sonic points.
Well, it's so uncharacteristic of this team. And Jerry is befuddled about why it's happening. But he's impressed with the Seattle quickness since they settled on this 5-man group, putting Lewis in the starting lineup with Barry, Baker, and then the 2 who start all the time, Grant and Payton.
Yeah, he said they're a different team than the one they faced in the first 2 games of this series. Jazz with the ball, leading by 2. Winner of this game moves on. The loser goes home. Polonese off the front rim, and Brian Russell comes out with it.
Utah Jazz doing an excellent job in this first half on the offensive play.
Malone behind the Polonese. Great punt by Polonese, and Malone, as he does, fouled him.
Anytime that you get a big man double team.
Lewis for 3. Can you believe this?
I'll tell you, this young guy is showing you what he's got. He's got dribble, he's got quickness, he's got 3-point range. He can dead stop off the dribble and hit a 17-18 jumper.
So he's got game, in other words.
He's got a big game. And since he's a free agent at the end of the year, he's going to get a big contract.
Although Paul Westphal said, they feel confident that they're going to sign him. Meanwhile, 8 seconds on the clock. And Gary Payton arguing that it was last touched by the Jazz, but Utah will inbound it with 8 seconds on the shot clock.
Plenty of time here now.
Here's Stockton. Finds an open space and hits. 10 points for Stockton. You can't give him an opening.
Now, see, anytime that he comes over, any kind of a screen, if you're following, you've got to be right on top of him.
Under a minute remaining in the first half. Payton with a whirling dervish move out to Horace Grant. It's not there for Grant on the perimeter thus far.
Days in Chicago and Orlando, that was money in the bank.
Malone swatted away by Grant. Out of bounds. Want to remind you, coming up on the AT&T halftime report, Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith will be joined by Sean Elliott in the studio, and we'll have a preview of the big Game 5 coming up next. Kings and Lakers here on TNT. 2 big Western Conference Game 5s in the same night. Patterson going out of the game now, replaced by Foster in the Sonic lineup. Russell getting it back from Isley, hitting the 3, and for Russell, that is his second.
In the NBA, we say it time and time again. On inbounds plays at half court, the most dangerous guy is the guy out of bounds.
Jazz by 6, double on Payton. Foster can't hold on. 5 on the shot clock, and Barry out to Lewis. He's going to try another 3. And the hustle for the loose ball in the corner with 5.8 on the clock. And it'll be Seattle's ball.
Plenty of time.
Padgett's going to check back in, as will Vin Baker. Chuck Person coming back in. Chuck Person coming in the game. Tremendous three-point shooter in his 14th season, and not seeing action thus far in the playoffs. And a commotion in the corner where the ball went out of bounds. Paul Westphal is set to bring in Shammond Williams, another deadly outside shooter as well for this final shot.
Well, he's been shooting at 60% in threes in this series. Now, we realize he has not taken a shot, but what Paul is doing, he's putting another guy out there that you must defend. If you get penetration off the dribble and you get inside and you're kicking out, yeah, the perimeter has been wide open for them throughout this entire half.
Williams starting the first two games of the series and scoring well, but not fitting in as well as Barry in the backcourt with Payton.
Well, the big thing there, Dick, was the defense. He was playing Stockton, but as soon as they moved Payton on Stockton in games 3 and 4, everything swung into their direction and their advantage.
Sonics inbounding the ball, and the officials making sure the crowd gets out of the way, gives them room with 5.8. That's plenty of time. And the kick ball. And now a Person moves back closer to midcourt for the inbound pass. Person looking to inside.
They missed the cut.
Losing the footing and putting it up. Payton getting the basket in heavy traffic. Gary Payton getting the basket as time runs out in heavy traffic. 16 for Payton. And he's got a smile on his face, but I don't know what he's saying.
Well, he's saying he thought he got fouled.
Yeah.
Now just keep an eye on this. See, he goes through here and he felt that he was tripped. Okay, now as he steps through, he thinks that he is hit by the defender on the left-hand side. So he wanted a three-point attempt here. Now, you're going to see it right here. See, he was stripped right there. Now as he goes up, he thinks Isley gets him right there. All right, and that's what he was complaining about.
Payton playing the entire first half with 16 points and 4 assists. But right now, let's go out to Reggie Theus.
All right, thanks a lot, Dick. Boy, you had a big half, 12 points. Is the emotion, is this game what it's cracked up to be in the fifth here?
It is. There's a lot of intensity on both ends, and all we have to do is keep on coming out doing what we're doing, and we should be all right.
What about the turnovers? You guys see me playing hard, but you really turned the ball over too much.
Yeah, we did, but all we got to do is come out in the second half and don't force too many unforced turnovers that we had.
You're a little bit concerned about the way they shot in the first half. They're only down by 4 or 5 points.
No, that's all right. They just made some big shots. Rashad Lewis stepped up for them, but second half, we're going to clamp down on them.
All right, man, good help. All right, Dick.
All right, Reggie, talking about shooting, the Utah Jazz shot 56% from the first half after 2 games in the low 40s and have a 4-point lead, 53-49 at intermission of the deciding game of this series. And welcome back to Salt Lake City. Halftime of Game 5, and there is nothing like a deciding game of any playoff series in the NBA, where you win and continue on to the next round, you lose, and your season is over. And the winner of this game will move on to the Western Conference semifinals against the Portland Trail Blazers. And right now, a tight game here in the lair of the Utah Jazz, the Delta Center. At halftime, the score, the Jazz 53 and the Sonics 49. Look at the statistics right now, and you can see where Utah outshot Seattle 56-40. Each team has missed only 1 free throw, but the Sonics have gone to the line more. Rebounding could be a big factor, and the turnover story as well. Hubie, we'd have to say that after a nervous start, this game has all the makings of really a 5th game. What do you draw from the stats?
Well, you look at Utah and you said they had to shoot better, 56%. They had to take care of the boards, a +7. Now, they're winning the battle of the paint by 10. But what's holding them back? The 10 turnovers, cost them 12 points. Seattle, excellent job. Only 4 turnovers. They've made 4 threes. But we said that Grant and Barry and Lewis must step up. Lewis got 14. Grant and Barry only 1 for 7. They must step up if Seattle's going to steal this game.
There's Malone, who scored 17, as you take a look at tonight's American Express leaderboard. Russell with 12, Stockton with 10, Payton has 16, Lewis, the 20-year-old, has 14 points. Third quarter underway, and this is where the Sonics have to beware, because in games 1 and 2, the Jazz really went out big in the third quarter, outscoring the Sonics by 12 in game 1 and by 10 in game 2. This has been their big quarter at home. Holiday misses the reverse hook shot.
Now, Seattle, excellent defense that time. Big thing with Seattle is they have tried to get as many easy baskets as you can. You ran the sideline after Utah scores, picked up 3 scores. So let's see you force some turnovers, execute that half-court offense.
The runner by Barry off the rim. Each team has had 1 possession here in the third quarter. Here is Hornacek firing from the corner, hitting. He's 2 for 9 at halftime, but starts out with the basket to give the Jazz a 55-49 lead.
Now, you've got to get to him. The guy shoots 49% for the year. He might have had a bad half, but you know he's not going to stop shooting, and they're going to open him up for beautiful perimeter attempts.
Vin Baker, the only player with 3 personal fouls, and he played a good deal with 3 fouls in the first half. Perimeter shot misses, and Stockton with the Jazz bringing it up. Stockton with 8 assists in the first half. Lewis at 6'10", staying with Hornacek. 8 on the clock.
Anytime.
The trap to Stockton, and Hornacek with a runner.
Now, they faked the screen and roll that time. On the flow of the defense, they just came right back to the top. And they caught Seattle in a bad rotation, allowing Hornacek to go right down the lane.
Payton posting up against Stockton. Grant goes back to him, and a holding foul will be called against John Stockton.
Good ball. Yeah, he grabbed his arm, trying to prevent him from receiving that pass. Right now, this is a dangerous time for Seattle. Dangerous. Because you do not want this lead to get up to 10, 12, 15.
Payton blanketed by Stockton with 5 on the shot clock. And nowhere to go with it. And turnaround. Stockton with a great defensive job on Gary Payton. And Payton called for the foul on Stockton, and giving him a stare reminiscent of what Muhammad Ali gave Sonny Liston in their second fight in Lewiston, Maine.
As you know, neither player is going to get ruffled, no matter what.
Right.
No matter how much contact. You know Stockton isn't going to talk much. He talks a lot to the referees, but he's not going to talk to you. Gary can talk all he wants.
A lot of poker faces out there.
Oh, Stockton wide open in the corner.
Hornacek for 3, and Hornacek, trying to avoid playing his last game of his career, has scored 7 points on 3-for-3 shooting here in the third quarter. Timeout, Seattle, as the Jazz have opened up their largest lead of the game, 11.
Seattle has just broken down on their rotations on the baseline, Dick, by sending Stockton through, by sending Hornacek through. Now you got to see right here. Stockton came all the way from the right-hand corner, was wide open, could have forced the shot. Instead, he faked the shot, took it off into the middle, and then opened up Hornacek at the top.
And that little girl is Abigail Hornacek. Usually we see her like that with her head through the poster. She's adorable.
Now keep an eye on John Stockton right here. He's going to make a pass right here to the top. He's going to go down and set a screen with Gilliam, but he's going to slip the screen. He's wide open right here. They miss him. He goes to the corner. Now once this ball is rotated to him over here, he's wide open. But keep an eye on this spot right here, because that's where Hornacek's going to get a shot. See, they fake it. He slips the screen, wide open. They miss him. Now, when the ball goes to the corner, he's open, but now you come back to the guy who's on a 3-for-3 roll.
And has scored all 7 points here in this third quarter. A 7-0 run by the Utah Jazz. And John Stockton now with 11 assists. That's what he's averaged in this series. Meanwhile, a foul called against Olden Polynice at the other end, his 3rd foul of the game. So Polynice with 3 and Vin Baker with 3. 5 on the shot clock. Polynice defending against Vin Baker with the turnaround. Grant trying to keep it alive, and Payton blocked by Brian Russell. Out to Lewis, however. Seattle getting another opportunity. They have yet to score here in the third. And Rashard Lewis from the corner.
We tell you, this is a dangerous time in this building. This is where they put the spurt on it. Great move.
With a lay-in. And there is Payton ahead of the field. And Gary Payton scores with 3.5 minutes gone by in the third quarter. The Sonics get their first points.
Seattle must button up here right now. Hold Utah to one shot attempt. Try to get in here and force a couple of turnovers and get out in the open floor.
Remember, Utah has rolled over Seattle in the first 2 games of the series here at the Delta Center with big third quarter flurries. Colony's baseline against Baker. Holden Colony's.
Baker didn't even attempt to play him. I mean, you can't give him a hip and think that's going to get it done. He rolled right underneath, up and in. Don't assume. Realize that Polonese and Osatek have not scored any points in this series. But come on, he's still a professional.
11-point lead. The double on Payton, leaving Barry open for 3. And there is the rebound and a 3-on-3 with Malone driving in. And now the outlet to Lewis.
Now, Karl Malone had said he thought that he got hipped. Right now, he got an advantage. Somebody's wide open.
Baker against Polonese on the other side, and Vin Baker works his way in. He's got 11.
Hey, Vin Baker, we know, must step up and show something in the post, Dick. But at the other end, he cannot be a sieve defensively just because he has 3 fouls. Come on. You've got to get in there and challenge. If your guy goes behind the backboard, pin him and keep him behind the backboard.
Ryan Russell looking down low to Malone with the fall away. And a loose ball foul called against the Sonics as Polonese knocked to the floor.
See, Grant right now is hot, Dick.
That'll be 4 against Baker.
See, Grant's hot because he thought that he was fouled before the first shot went up. Now, that right now, it's a major loss for Seattle because now they lose their post-up. The only guy who Utah is going to honor down in the post-up area right now will be Gary Payton.
Foster replaces him, but he is a spot-up shooter as a big man. Baker on the bench with 4 fouls and 11 points, weakening the Sonics. And there is Malone with Grant floating him. And Malone on the pass from Stockton, the basket and the foul. And John Stockton now with his 12th assist of the game.
See, John Stockton took his time. That's great. Anytime that an excellent postman is fronted, allow the defense to clear out on the opposite side. See, Malone is just holding him there. Now look how Grant is holding on. Then lead him to the corner of the backboard because that cuts down the angle that the defense can rotate to. Beautiful pass.
Karl Malone now with 19 points. Cannot convert the 3-point play. The Jazz up by 11 as they open up this 11-point lead on 3 occasions here in the third. Payton picked up by Malone on the switch. Grant to Lewis. Polonese gets a piece of it. New clock for the Sonics. Rashard Lewis driving in against Holden Polonese, who makes the defensive play and gets the rebound.
Now that was just a difficult angle for Lewis to make that shot. Malone came into the picture and forced him to change the release.
10 on the shot clock as the Jazz set it up again. Stockton uses a screen from Malone.
Post up Payton.
And the ball thrown away and the shot clock expired.
I was shocked mainly because Stockton had Karl Malone being played by Payton on that switch. As soon as he saw the big man on him, I thought he was going to back it out, create the angle, and post Payton on Malone right there. Boom.
Well, the Sonics have started out 4 of 18 to start the game. Now 2 of 11 here in this third quarter. So the first and third quarters have not been kind to them as Barry misses from the perimeter. Rashard Lewis fouled. And it gets hot and heavy inside as Malone trying to defend. And let's see who the foul is against. Malone has only 1 at the end of this first half, and he picks up his second.
Oh, and a technical. And a technical on Malone. He came out on Don Baden, gave him a piece piece of his mind.
That's the 5th technical foul called against Karl Malone in this series. In what has been a series of technical fouls, there have been 11 called on both teams, including players and coaches, in this first-round matchup.
Well, he's on Don Drayton right now, and he's giving him some more lip. And, you know, you got to be careful here right now. This game is not over. We still have a quarter and a half to go. But how about this? Barry, an 81% foul shooter, cannot make a shot tonight. And he's had really open looks. And if you think about it, even in this quarter here, he's had 3 good looks at the basket, and he cannot knock it down. There's a lot of pressure on he and Grant to help out these other guys to score.
1 for 8 from the field for Barry, so he is struggling in the big 5th game.
He's got to keep shooting because he's had such a fantastic season. Plus, he's been shooting well in this series.
Lewis making 1 out of 2. Foster getting the rebound, but they're going to call the former Utah Jazz center for his 3rd personal foul on the loose ball situation. And the Sonics trailing by 10.
Can't lose focus now. The building is in an uproar. Utah taking their time, running their stuff meticulously. You cannot lose your focus.
There's Karl Malone working against Horace Grant. Russell forcing it up. And Barry knocking it away. But Colonies had an easy layup there, and there are 4 seconds on the shot clock for the Jazz.
Yeah, that shot did not hit the rim. Be careful of a back screen here now.
Shot clock down to 3. Jazz and the Sonics, familiar rivals. This is the 4th series they played in the playoffs, and the fall away by Hornacek. The lead is 10 for Utah.
Well, we know that Seattle plays in spurts. They did it in the first half. They came out big, knocked in the 3s, got out in the open floor.
Here's Foster from the corner with a 3. Greg Foster with a big 3-point basket.
Now, they needed that. It's good to see because maybe Foster will loosen up and make a contribution, but they still need Grant and Barry to step up here.
Remember, Baker on the bench with 4 personal fouls as Brian Russell connects from the corner. He has 14 points, his first points of the second half. Remaining in the 3rd. It has been the Utah Jazz coming out strong here in this 3rd quarter, trying to wrap it up and win it home to wrap up the series at 5. And they're going to call Lewis or Russell for the foul. The crowd wanted Lewis for the offensive foul. Instead, Brian Russell's 3rd.
Yeah, just keep an eye on this. It looks like Russell. No, he didn't get it. He didn't get it. He was late. From our angle, it looked a charge. But you can see on that replay from the baseline angle. Good call.
Shammond Williams, who scored 23 points in the first game of the series, 15 in the second as a starter, in there now at guard, along with Payton. Payton blocked. It was Brian Russell with the block. And Malone comes down with it. Isley in the corner, open is Russell. Rebound by Malone. Russell drives and he scores.
They're just beating him to the ball at the offensive end. If there's anything loose or a missed shot, Utah, give them 5-star rating for their hustle right here in this 3rd quarter.
Here is Williams driving around Isley, pulling up, and the personal foul. So Howard Isley with the personal.
Williams in this series has played a half a game. He's averaging 12 points, and he's done an excellent job shooting 53% from the floor, and then in 3s, 64%. Now, Paul has him in there because he has Isley or Stockton that he can match up with.
Shammond Williams, 2nd year from the University of North Carolina. Hit 4 of 6 3-pointers in the first game of this series. And in fact, after the first 2 games, was second to Payton in Seattle's scoring derby. Coming up next on TNT, Game 5, the Kings at the Lakers, followed by Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. 9-point lead for the Jazz. Stockton leaving it open for Malone. He's got it. Malone now with 21.
That was a beautiful read by Stockton. He caught Williams on the defensive side, faded, and then it set up that entire play.
3.5 to play in the third. Jazz again by 11. Payton with a turnaround.
Payton is very quiet, Dick. Very quiet this quarter.
And the Jazz can open up their biggest lead. So once again, they're getting it done in the third quarter. Here at home. Malone over Green. And the biggest lead of the game established by the Jazz. 72 to 59 with 3 minutes remaining here in the third.
Seattle's offense has left them right here. Nice pass.
And Ruben Patterson in the game
Wasn't looking.
losing that pass.
That should have been a layup. That should have been a catch dunk.
Isley off the screen from Malone. And Patterson with the rebound. You mentioned the poor shooting. Payton is only 1 of 5 here in the third quarter.
Well, you see, they cannot get out on the break, mainly because Utah's shooting such a high percentage.
Patterson, and the basket counts and a foul. So Ruben Patterson, who gave Paul Westphal a big spark off the bench in the first half, getting the basket and a timeout with 2:30 to play here in the third quarter. The emotion of a 5th game of a playoff, a deciding game. And Malone and Payton, the 2 stars, and they're not the only ones. After that tremendous finish of game number 4, and all of the fever pitch emotion of that one, the Utah Jazz taking hold here in the third quarter and leading by a score of 72 to 61. Karl Malone with 23 points, and he has yet to score fewer than 23 points in any one of the 5 games. The leading point maker for the Jazz, and Gary Payton with 18, but a cold third quarter indeed for the Sonics. Ruben Patterson with the free throw, and the lead is 10.
Right now, they give you that fake ball pressure in full court, Dick. We've only seen them go at it once, and it was for 30 seconds, and they had 3 turnovers.
Isley getting down low to Malone. 6 on the shot clock. Stockton off the front rim, forced to the rebound. Sonic shooting only 25%, as you saw on our graphic here in the third quarter. 2 minutes to play in the third.
Everything is like they're pulling teeth. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he can take it. He can take Paget.
Foster, who hit a 3 earlier in the quarter, cannot connect.
Well, the big thing is that they're shooting and missing, and they're not getting any second chance points. That's where we said they excelled in games 3 and 4 in Seattle, where they got the extra shot attempts, made them, and continue to keep their lead.
And there is Stockton with the lay-in, and I'll tell you, Olden Colonies is a big reason why the Sonics aren't getting second shots tonight.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job. You got to give it to the front line. Utah Jazz guys doing an excellent job. Everybody helping out on the glass.
Nearly a steal. 10 on the shot clock. Patterson driving by Paget, and he lays it in. Ruben Patterson now with 11.
Yeah, see, he can take him any time that he catches stick, turns and faces up. When he's laboring, he's down in the box area, and he's allowing the double team guy to get to him. Just step off the lane a little bit, catch it, turn and face.
Malone feeding Polonies, going out to Isley with under a minute to go, and 12 on the shot clock for the Jazz. Polonies turnaround. Olden Polonies with 8 points, and that doesn't tell half the story of what he's done.
Well, I like that. That was by design. You thought the ball was going to Malone, but they set that screen and then step Polonies right in front of the basket, looking for that pass all the way.
And a 12-point lead as Payton triple team Shammond Williams, and the basket counts and a foul. Isley got Shammond Williams, who banked it in off the glass, and a chance now for the Sonics to cut it to single digits.
Well, that's what you were looking for. You put Williams in the game for Barry. You're bringing Barry in right now for Gary Payton to give him a blow. Now, this is just a Hail Mary shot. You're lucky you bank it in. Not only that, you get to the foul line. But the reason why Williams came for Barry, Barry's struggling, and Williams has been shooting such a high percentage in the series.
Gary Payton sitting down for the first time in this game as Barry replaces him. Payton with 18 points, including 2 threes. And Horace Grant goes out, and Rashard Lewis comes in. So substitutions for both sides as R1 Gilliam checks in for the Jazz. Shammond Williams with the three-point play, and the lead is 9.
Basically, you're staying small to match up here. You do not want your 2 key guys, Grant and Payton, to pick up a silly foul. Plus, you're giving them a chance to rest. Plus, when the quarter ends, they'll get additional time here, and they'll be ready to go for the entire fourth quarter.
And remember, Baker's been on the bench with 4 fouls through a good part of this third quarter as well. 6 on the shot clock. Isley will fire a 3 and hit a big one. Howard Isley, and that is the 5th three-pointer for the Jazz. Lewis for 3.
Yes!
Comes right back with it.
Young fella, he's on fire from three-point range.
79-70, and the final shot of this third quarter. Rashard Lewis with 18 points and 3 threes, but Karl Malone with 23 points is the leading scorer in the game, and let us not forget John Stockton and 15 assists already. But the Utah Jazz extend their lead, and after 3 quarters, the score is 79-70. Let's take a look at tonight's Budget Rent-A-Car Fast Break. And Paul Westphal told Reggie Theus at the half that if the Utah Jazz shoot 56% again, I'll just shake their hands after the series and say congratulations. They're at 55 after 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's very difficult for them. And what you liked in the third quarter, Utah shot the high percentage. They handled the boards, and then 0 turnovers. Seattle, their starting unit, 3 for 15 for the quarter. And right now we know that this group has got to step up. Baker's got to show us an inside presence, and Payton and Barry have got to get it going out on the perimeter.
Sonics can't afford a 1 for 5 shooting quarter by Gary Payton in a deciding game and hope to move on. 9-point lead for the Jazz, their biggest lead, 13. Payton with Barry, Baker back in, Patterson, Rashard Lewis. Isley doing a good job on Payton. 6 on the shot clock. Ruben Patterson working past Gilliam, and he lays it in.
That was a no-brainer. That's what we say. No matter if Gilliam or Russell or Padgett, if he's in the game, picks up Patterson, he can take them all off the dribble because he's an attack guy. Very quick on his first step.
Alone with the Gilliam, Russell, and Hornacek and Isley. Stockton on the bench as we start the fourth. Malone with a turnaround, air ball, and the Sonics trying to make an early run to get back in this game. Rashard Lewis, Gilliam has to respect the three-point shot. He's hit 3 of them. And now Ben Baker has it stripped away by Malone, and it's last touch by the Jazz.
Jerry Sloan close to it, too. Jerry Sloan was sliding a la James Brown from the days of the 60s. You know, the guy that's in the corner.
Oh, you date yourself. Loose ball foul the other way, and that'll be against Rashard Lewis.
Well, you never get upset when your guys are hustling on the offensive glass when they pick up a loose ball foul. Rashard Lewis was upset at himself because he missed that wide-open shot. But the second effort was there.
Ostertag is coming to the game for the Jazz.
Well, this is a normal rotation for Ostertag, replacing Polonese.
Polonese with 8 points and 6 rebounds, doing the job at center. Ostertag going up and fouled, and will shoot 2. And Baker gingerly walking on his foot. Rashard Lewis with his second foul.
Well, that's a situation where you cannot lose Ostertag. You know that when the ball goes into Malone on the post, and there's a double team, Ostertag is going right to the front of the rim.
Ostertag shooting 2. He has not been effective from the free throw line, but connects on the first. Coming up tomorrow night, a TNT special.
Welcome to the best basketball tournament you've never seen, where players go to be discovered and to play on hallowed ground. Tomorrow at 10:05, only on TNT.
Greg Oakster tag, shooting 58% from the line in the series. 1 out of 2.
It's always better to foul him. Foul he or Polynice. Do not give him any layups. Polynice shoots 31% for the year. Oakster tag 64. Make them make the 2 foul shots.
Minute and a half gone by. Sonics trailing. Lewis loses the ball and travels. He did not have control on the drive in the lane and turns it over. The Jazz are up by 8. That is only the 6th turnover by Seattle.
Yeah, that was too big. He had the half a step. He made the right move, but he lost his handle.
Sonics trying to close the gap defensively and stay in the game here in the 4th quarter. Everything riding here in the 4th as Malone's shot doesn't go.
Now that's 2 fadeaway jump shots. Karl Malone has taken up over Baker, and Baker's got the piece of both.
Patterson and Ruben Patterson, again the spark off the bench, has 15.
Hey, my man can do it in this game.
He's your man.
In this game, he can do it. He's 5 for 6 from the floor. You know that he's not going to take any shot outside of the paint. He's going to go hard.
Patterson with a steal, and the ball last touched by the Sonics. Patterson had actually knocked the ball away from Brian Russell, and the ball bounced off Patterson, who was nursing an injured elbow right now.
Yeah, that was a great anticipation. A terrific attempt at a deflection. Now just watch the screen. Look at this. But then the collision right there. Accidental trip. Unfortunate for Seattle.
Good hustle, though, by Patterson.
Oh, both players.
If they could just bring all those fans at the Arco Center into the Staples Center tonight, that might alleviate that home court edge the Lakers have, particularly against the Kings.
Well, if Sacramento can make their threes like they did in game 3 and 4, they will be in the game.
Here is Stockton with a Malone screen and the rebound by Barry. 6-point game.
Well, in the last 3 minutes, Utah goes cold. Cannot get a second shot attempt. At this end, something good on every possession for Seattle.
And where would the Sonics be without the shooting from their bench? Payton, and Gary Payton cuts the lead in half to 3 points. He now has 21 points, first of the 3rd quarter, and his 3rd 3 of the game.
That's how they came back in the 2nd quarter.
Seattle 7 of 16 for threes. And remember, they missed their first 5 in the game, and a Seattle foul.
Well, Barry came on the double team, lost his footing, crashed into Karl Malone.
Horace Grant replaces Barry, so a bigger lineup now for Seattle.
Yeah, they're going to move Rashard Lewis to the backcourt. He'll play the 2-guard position. He'll still guard Russell. Patterson will guard Hornacek.
Stockton driving in, has it knocked away, and the Sonics trailing by 3, and the ball. Plenty of time here in this 4th quarter. There's Hornacek. Trying to set it up for the methodical Jazz. Hornacek dribbling by Payton. Scoop shot doesn't roll.
Come on, push. Right now the Jazz are slow in transition. Seattle has got to look for the long pass that they had in that 2nd quarter. Make the pitch out and then look long.
Here is Baker back to Payton for the layup, and it's a 1-point game. So Vin Baker with a nifty pass back to Payton, who now has 23 points, the same number as Karl Malone, and a timeout called by the Jazz, silencing the stunned crowd.
Well, what you have here is called give-and-go basketball. It was initiated when they put up the peach basket.
And you remember those days, too.
Yeah, I sure do.
Sonics on a 9-1 run. It's a 1-point affair. Leading by 1 in the deciding game 5. At one point, Utah led by 13, but the Sonics, QB, have hit 5 of their last 7 shots. What have you seen other than their improved shooting to get them back in?
We said, first of all, they play in straight. Second, the defense had to tighten up. The defense tightened up, held Utah to 1 shot, and then did not foul. So Utah playing perimeter and also not getting to the foul line.
Malone and Payton each with 23 points in this game. Nearly 4 minutes gone by in the fourth. John Stockton hitting, and the lead is 3.
Peyton got lost on that shuffle cut. Come on, that's an old UCLA cut. You know that Stockton is running that cut and then fading to the corner. Harry was way behind.
Vin Baker playing the 4 fouls, and now it's Ruben Patterson in the lane. Not that time, but Baker keeping it alive.
That's where you got to make your money.
Grant from outside. Horace Grant, part of 3 world titles with the Chicago Bulls.
Well, it's about time that he made the shot. You know, in his first 10 years, he shot over 50%. In the last 3 seasons, 44. They need him now to step up. They need some old-time leadership now.
And the Jazz are the cold team now. 1 for 5 in the fourth. Stockton flips it out to Brian Russell. He had time. He kind of forced that shot up, and now the Sonics looking to take the lead.
Hey, their defense has been terrific, Dick. In the last 5 to 7 minutes, and they are playing excellent defense.
Hornacek, and called for the foul, and he cannot stop the quick Rashard Lewis. And Hornacek picking up his 3rd foul, a non-shooting situation. Lewis with Grant, Baker, Patterson, and Payton, of course. Payton playing all but about a minute or 2 of this game.
Screen and rolling.
Payton. And it goes over the top.
I was kind of surprised that he forced that. Mainly because 2 guys went after him. He could have come back to Grant. He had plenty of time on the shot clock. Very seldom do you see him go off of the screen and roll to the corner like that.
Hornacek going to Malone, and Karl Malone with his first points here in the fourth quarter.
And they caught Grant trying to help out on a trap. Excellent ball move.
25 for Karl Malone. The lead is 3. And Olden Colonies, who has come up big tonight for the Jazz, knocking the ball away from Baker. There are 11 seconds on the shot clock.
That was a strong deflection. Baker was very careless with that dribble.
Stockton on Payton. Baker working his way in, and he lays it in against Polonese.
See, he knows that he can post and take Polonese. Patterson feels in his heart that he can take his man. Now, Payton has got to make things happen off the dribble to set guys up so that they catch Utah in their rotations and then attack.
There's Karl Malone with a fall away over Baker. Polonese battling for the offensive rebound, and now the Sonics with another opportunity to take the lead. Here's Rashard Lewis, trapped in the corner, and loses the ball.
You know, at this defensive end of the floor, Baker has done an excellent job on Karl Malone in this quarter. He has challenged all 3 shots.
Pass from Malone into Polonese, and it counts in a foul.
See, that's where you hear this in pro basketball all the time. There's where you need the hard foul. The hard foul is no layup. You go for the shot block, you foul the guy hard across his arm, you force the guy to go to the foul line and make 2 foul shots. This guy is a 33% shooter. Now just keep an eye. See right there? You go for the foul. You do not allow him to make a layup with a potential 3. Force him to go to the line where you know if he makes 1 out of 2, he's happy.
Olden Polonese has scored a total of 8 points in the series coming into this game. He just completed a 3-point play, 11 in this game, a big factor.
Nick, that was a very critical play right there. And young guys have got to understand that. You know, you're expected to play smart in that type of a situation. Also, you always have to know who has the basketball.
20 called by the Seattle Sonics, Paul Westphal, and a good timeout to try to keep it within range. The Jazz leading by 4, still with a lot of time to play.
Yeah, I think that Paul has done an excellent job in maneuvering his people. When he had foul trouble, he gambled with Baker, brought him back. When Barry was struggling, he took Barry out, came with Shammond Williams. Then when Barry missed again, he lost a little faith in him. He moved Ruben Patterson and Rashard Lewis. Either one of them can match up with the 2-guard position. So he's done a very nice job, and he brought his team back. But then your players have got to do it, and you got to give Seattle a lot of credit.
87-83, and Baker fouled by Polonese from behind, and that'll be 4 on Olden Polonese.
I say that's a silly we doing here? Yeah, one thing you do not want to do is get the opposition where they are shooting the penalty with 5 minutes to go in the game.
Stockton fighting through, knocks it out of bounds. And there were 6 seconds to attempt a shot for the Sonics.
See, by Polony stepping out that time, they could not turn the corner on that dribble. And that was an excellent deflection.
Brent Barry inbounds to Lewis. Here is Baker from outside. Malone.
Well, that's what this game from now to the wire is all about. Holding the opposition to one shot attempt.
Right on his feet. And this is the home court advantage that the Jazz are looking to use to move into the next round. But Russell misses. Stockton winds up with it. And a foul is called. And Gary Payton will be hit with his third personal.
Well, see, that's inexcusable. Anytime that you have 4 green shirts in the painted area and Stockton comes in and gets the offensive board, well, then you know that's hard to handle. Plus, the foul gives them the penalty. Now, you can see they had 4 green shirts right in there, Dick. They were all in position. Stockton comes up with the ball.
And he'll be John Stockton, has 7 rebounds tonight to go along with a 14-point and 15-assist game. Could there be a triple-double in John Stockton's future before this is over? But he misses the first free throw, unaccustomed as he does. 1 out of 2, and the Jazz are up by 5.
Big thing here right now, Seattle. Come on, just get back to your movement. You had nice movement for 5 to 7 minutes there, and you were getting nice percentage shots and attacking the rim.
Here is Baker. And Baker tonight, who has scored 13 points with 4 on the shot clock. No movement yet in the offense. Baker forced to put it up and hits at the buzzer. 15 for Vin Baker.
He was maneuvering until he got to his spot. No doubt about it.
Now the Sonics are over the limit in foul, so the Jazz will be shooting the penalty the rest of this game. Malone with a fall away, and he's got it. 27 now for Malone.
Off balance, left the button there.
This is his second biggest scoring effort in the series. He had the 50 in game 1. 4 minutes to go in the fourth.
They continue to go to right there now. See, Stockton and Payton. See, Payton was trying to cut through. Stockton got in front of him and would not let him cut through. Then they get wrapped up. Well, you know, in this building, everybody realizes Stockton in 16 years has never fouled anyone. All right, now just keep that look right there. You see now Payton, see now right there, Stockton continues to grab and bump Payton on that cut through.
7 on the shot clock. 5-point lead, and the loose ball. Rashard Lewis loses the ball, and the Jazz get it back. Every turnover, ultra crucial the rest of the way. Here is Polony, and Polony's now with 13 points. Gives the Jazz a 7-point lead and a timeout called by Seattle. So Olden Polonys, who played with the Seattle Supersonics in the beginning of his career and again last year, has 6 of 8 shooting tonight for 13.
Now, when you go in after the game, Dick, and you look at this stat, and you see 13 points, the guy is averaging 2 points a game in this series. He only attempts 2 shots a game in the series. And in Game 5, they are finding him, and he is delivering.
Hey, he only had 8 points in the series coming into this game, but he's changed all that. All right, thank you very much, Kevin. And if the Kings were to win that game, it'd be one of the greatest upsets in NBA history without doubt. But right now, as we take a look, each team has 3 timeouts left. The Jazz also have a 20, and Utah also with a foul to give.
The thing right now is get back to some continuity here.
Gary Payton driving strong to the basket and gets the hoop.
First time he's been in a position where he could just take Stockton from the middle of the floor to the basket.
Payton hasn't gone to the line, though, in this game like he did the last 2.
But you like the timeout. You like the timeout. Come out of the timeout, run the play that you wanted, and you score. Now they just came back. They were definitely in a half-court trap. We have not seen that type of action from them in any part of this game this evening.
On the kickball, the Jazz have 15 seconds with 3:15 to go in the fourth. 5-point lead.
Seattle right now, just tighten up your defense. Try to hold Utah to one shot.
Malone setting a screen for Stockton. Picked up the double team. Malone with a fall away over Rashard Lewis. And big pass by Barry, who got the rebound into the hands of Stockton.
On Barry's behalf, he was falling out of bounds. And he threw the ball right into the Utah player.
Stockton out to Russell. Brian Russell into the corner for Hornacek. And the offensive rebound by Malone.
The team that does not offensive rebound often has been offensive rebounding time and time again in this game.
And at the most important time of the game. Under 2.5 to play and 8 on the shot clock. Here is Hornacek for 3. And now the Sonics come out. Still down by 5.
Now you're in good shape. You got plenty of time here right now.
Lewis, the 20-year-old, guarded by Hornacek. And a big size advantage. Here is Lewis again. And goaltending call. Credit the basket to Rashard Lewis. He has 20 for the second straight game.
See what I liked about that play, Dick, was that ball went in to the post. He kicked it out. Gary Payton went right back into him and let him reset. He had a height advantage, and he also improved his post position.
3-point lead for Utah. Under 2 minutes to go in the fourth. Can you ask for any more than this in the fifth and deciding game?
Yeah, it's a great game. Great game, and the people must make plays.
Survival on the line. Malone will fire over Grant, and Hornacek tips it in.
Come on. You have 3 green shirts right there, and Jeff Hornacek and Stockton on the offensive board.
Hornacek turning 37 years of age on Wednesday with the big tip in, and now Payton stepped on the line out of bounds. Will turn it over to the Jazz, who lead by 5.
Seattle's got to regroup here right now. Don't hang your head. You're only down 5 points. You got 1 minute and 33 seconds to go. Just regroup here, play solid defense, force Utah to give you a big-time execution.
6 turnovers by Seattle here in the fourth quarter.
See, Baker continues to lead Polynice to help out.
Malone scrambling for the ball, and it's turned over to the Sonics.
Now push now, you have an advantage.
Sonics need every possession now, down by 5. And we get close to 1 minute remaining. And the foul, Rashard Lewis is fouled, and that is the 14th foul against the Jazz. And now the next foul will result in the penalty and a timeout called with 1:04 remaining in the fourth quarter of a deciding game in the first round. 94-89, Utah in front. Game 5, the last 2 nights on TNT, Kings and Lakers, followed by Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Seattle with 2 timeouts remaining, neither team with a foul to give.
Now that was an excellent foul called by Jerry Sloan. They had a foul to give, which we showed you on the last reset. Jerry Sloan wanted the foul because he wanted that timeout to regroup him.
It's a 2-possession game right now. Sonics with the ball and 5 seconds on the shot clock. Here's Ben Baker. He hits a 3.
Big shot!
Ben Baker with a 3, and it's a 2-point game.
What a shot by Baker. Excellent penetration by Payton to set it up.
And they changed it to a 2, so it is a 3-point Utah lead. Foot was on the line. So now nearly a half a minute to go and 5 on the shot clock. Stockton to Polynice, who's fouled underneath. And it was Payton who commits the foul on Polynice with 31 seconds remaining.
Now that was a great trap of Stockton, and Stockton found Polynice. Payton was pinned behind him. Smart foul by Payton, fouled him. Now you're going to force Polynice to make your foul shots.
Polynice has not gone to the free throw line coming into this game in the series. He is 1 for 1 tonight, but he is having a whale of a night with 13 points, an unexpected offensive burst from Olden Polynice for the Jazz.
Well, it's a smart foul. For his career, he's a 54% shooter. He struggled all year this year. A lot of pressure on him, but he's having...
That was a struggle.
Yeah, that's okay, but he's having a great night. Without him tonight, they would be down.
Yeah, look at Jerry Sloan's face. His reaction on that miss by Polynice. He is agape, if that is the correct word. And the air ball, so a brick and an air ball. And Olden Polynice gives the Sonics an opportunity down by 3 with 30.8 remaining. And a timeout called by the Sonics, who now will be left with only 1 timeout. We'll be right back. We had a great finish last night with the Pacers beating the Bucks in Game 5. Another good one tonight. And coming up next, Kings in Lakers with the series on the line.
Well, main thing right now, Seattle only has 1 timeout left. Jazz have 3 and a 20. Now, the big thing, you do not need a 3. If you score quickly and you use clock management, you pick up all over the court, look for a steal, even if the Jazz call timeout. The big thing is clock management here.
Payton driving to the basket, putting it up and getting the hoop. It's a 1-point game. And now with the 25 seconds.
Now you pick up. You pick up. You do not allow anyone to go long on you. You look for the steal. You go for the trap and the steal.
Russell has it. And they got the 10-second thing to think about, and they get it across to Malone to Ostertag.
You got to foul. You got to foul. So you're going to let them run it out. And let them run out the clock here. You can't do that. You got to foul. See, Dick, when they threw the ball inbounds, he said that you play for the steal, then you play for the foul, because clock management is critical. We just had this clock go all the way down. They lost at least a precious 10 seconds.
John Stockton 2 for 3 at the line in a big game for him tonight. 15 points, 15 assists, and 7 off the glass. And in crunch time, Stockton rarely misses, and he can give the Jazz a 3-point lead again.
For Seattle right now, just block out, because if he does miss, get the rebound, call timeout. You have 1 timeout left.
And the lead is 3, and the Sonics will use their final timeout.
That's why when we always talk about clock management, you have to know what you're doing when you come out of that huddle. You went for the quick score. You never assume that they're going to call timeout. They didn't. They inbounded the ball. Now you go for the trap. You don't get it. Now you go for the foul.
All right, Kevin, no timeouts left for Seattle and 9 seconds to go.
Now this is critical. You have the ball out of bounds. You've got to get the ball inbounds. We know that with 9 seconds and no timeouts available to you, they're probably going to come out here and look for a 3. Now, if they do go for a quick score, Dick, and there's 6 or 7 seconds left on the clock, then you once again, you press full court. You do not assume there's a timeout. But what you do is you go for the steal, and if you don't get the steal, you must foul immediately. Because once again, you have no timeouts to move the ball a half court.
Sonics have never won a Game 5 on the road. They're 0-3 and trailing by 3. Chuck Person has come into the game for Seattle. You saw the 3-point shooters. Barry 0 for 4 tonight. But Payton is 3 for 5. Person is out there with a fake. Person fires for 3 off the rim, and the Jazz are going to win it and move on. That's how close it was for Paul Westphal, who did a terrific job getting his team back into the series. But the series is over, and Utah has won it 96-93.
Dick, you feel for Chuck Person. He's been sitting on that bench for an entire game, and then they put you in with 9 seconds to go, and you are the man to knock in a 3 2 steps beyond the 3-point line. That is an incredible ton of pressure. Now, they were working with Gary Payton and Person in. You can see they hit right here. They give it back to Payton. Now, watch the screen by Person, hoping that the Jazz would foul up. Now, the ball fake. Steps Person underneath. Now, look, Chuck is one of the greatest of all time, but that was difficult to do.
So for the Utah Jazz, you know about Stockton, Malone, and Hornacek. They've been around forever, but how about 35-year-old and Polynice and what he contributed tonight with his 13 points in the game and terrific defense and a great job off the boards. Right now, let's send it out to Reggie Theus.
All right, thanks a lot, Dick. Carl, this is what Game 5s are all about. You said that tonight you had to bring your A game and really play big, and you did that.
Well, I thought maybe I had to play a big game because I know the excitement was going to be surrounded, but you just try to keep an even keel and don't try to get it too excited. I think the other guys did a great job. I think all the Polynice down the stretch was huge for us, so I think those guys in that locker room did a great job, and I kind of just mixed in and did some other things. It was a hard-fought victory. We realized that. Man, it get even tougher.
Other than the two boulders Polynice threw up there from the free throw line, he played great. He's 2 points for the series, but tonight 14 points.
Well, I think Olin did a lot of good things for us tonight. It's amazing how guys don't have too good of a game, and then they step up in this kind of game. But now we're going to need all our big guys to step up in this series because Portland's going to be a war, but it should be one we're looking forward to.
I got to say, this crowd is incredible. Very difficult. I had my volume almost all the way up on my IFB. Tough place to play basketball.
Well, we just said we had to give them something to cheer for. So hopefully we can really settle down and start concentrating on playing some good, solid Jazz basketball. So it's going to be tough, but this is what the playoffs are all about.
And you said you weren't going to have any assists tonight. You have 3.
What's wrong with me?
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
All right, take it.
Well, last year, the Jazz lost to the Trailblazers in 6 games in the Western Conference semifinals, and they get another shot at them starting on Sunday. And so, Malone with 27 leads the Jazz. Payton had 27 for the Sonics. Last night, a 1-point game in Indianapolis. Tonight, a 3-point game here. What lies ahead in L.A., we'll find out shortly. Once again, the final score, the Utah Jazz 96, the Seattle Sonics 93, and they move on. For more reaction for both teams from this deciding Game 5, be sure to watch Inside the NBA. Coming up next, Game 5, Kings and Lakers. For Hubie Brown and Reggie Theus, Dick Stockton saying so long. Right now, let's send it out to Kevin Harlan.